Oh, get started.
Alright, I'm ready.
Let's
I'm
get
ready to talk
going.
about our favorite person.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on just how uninteresting he is as a person to watch?
It's like it's just like watching a toilet flushing over and over again, but like it's just getting dirtier as it like isn't being cleaned.
I would say watching his deterioration and his worsening hygiene and filthiness is something that you can at least like compare with the previous videos because oftentimes they are almost identical with the stuff he talks about.
I think the best way to like illustrate this is by asking you this question. What do you think is the most interesting thing that's happened to this man in the past year?
I mean, the most interesting things that I can immediately think of are him drinking way too much wine one night, vomiting, drinking vodka, and then having the police come and like talk to him.
Why did the police come?
Someone called them. I don't remember if it was a noise complaint. I don't believe it was. Someone had told the police that he was talking about like hurting himself.
Okay.
That's a very common troll tactic to get the police to come visit you is, you know, someone can just randomly call and claim that you're suicidal or what have you when you're streaming.
Man, that's a pretty sad, most interesting thing.
I mean, the second thing that immediately came to mind was when, have you ever seen Fiery Fish Pizza?
Unfortunately, yes.
I love that video. I've watched it several times, like the full thing.
It's oh man, it's a hard one to watch. I just like when he goes off screen, you can just hear him dry heaving into the toilet.
He's in so much pain. And I don't like revel in him being in pain, but it's the really long buildup of him talking himself up, and he has this kind of like masculine attitude he's taking on about, you know, how this is how you separate the boys from the men, and you got to be tough enough to be able to take on this level of spicy. And God, that pizza must have been absolutely rancid. The fish, whatever he put on there, and just the spiciness must have been awful.
So just like let's pretend that I'm someone that doesn't know anything about this guy. Can you run me through your understanding of what this guy's day-to-day life is?
See, that's the hardest part, is introducing people to this guy and not making me seem really weird as a result when I explain that I follow this weird curmudgeon and his daily activities, and they're probably just like, why are you doing this? But
Well, I mean, people like watch the Kardashians on TV, right? Like,
that is an excellent point.
so this is just our version of that.
Yeah. His day-to-day activities include not going to work. He's unemployed. If it's a good day, he will wander out the streets of Casper and collect sticks off the ground and then paint them and get them ready to be wands. And the other part really eludes me because when he'll make videos constantly, but that only occupies so much of his day. I don't know what he does when he's not making videos, drinking, or picking up sticks.
I imagine there's probably a lot of sleeping going on.
He probably sleeps a lot. And it's a shame because this is a man with all the time in the world right now. And he is so bad at finding like good media to consume or good games to play. And it's not even a matter of money. He doesn't torrent anything. He doesn't download anything. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't watch anything. He just hangs out on his computer all day, from what I can tell, watching YouTube videos and stalking women.
Oh my god.
It's
Does he really pick up his sticks just from like the ground? That's how he makes his wands. He just goes out and picks up sticks off the ground.
Yeah, he will pick up sticks, and he will collect tobacco as well. He will hunt for cigarette butts and kind of take them apart and put them into a bag of what he calls pipe tobacco. And he has recently talked about scrounging up wet cigarette butts that were like wet from the snow as well as ashtrays, which he says is only an emergency procedure to collect cigarette butts from ashtrays.
He's like a post-apocalyptic wizard.
Yes, he is. He's a scaver.
You said something interesting, so I'm curious. This is something I don't know about him. You mentioned that he doesn't play good games. Does he play video games?
Yeah, he does. He does. He has a PS3, if I remember correctly. When people ask him what game he likes to play, he always says GTA. And I can't imagine what he does on there. You can only, I mean, I would get bored to death playing GTA for that long. Like, he's been providing that answer for a few years now, I want to say.
I didn't know he was actively unemployed still.
Oh yeah, he's doing his own little wand business. People keep buying his wands. That is what has me mystified.
Does he get money from his parents as well?
Yes. He gets money from Clint to pay for his apartment. I think for a time when he was working at Wendys, he claimed to be using that money to pay for his apartment. But after he got fired, I think twice now, I'm pretty sure Clint pays for his rent. Maybe has been for some time. Also, he gets Social Security.
Okay, for his condition.
Right. He calls it his tax returns. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this guy is his inability to like grasp onto proper terminology.
Oh yeah. Well, that is just a bald-faced lie. He's masking that. There was a point where he accidentally called it his SSI, and he had a fit, and it was because he didn't have enough like tobacco that day or something. And he immediately corrected himself. Was like, "Oh no, my tax returns. When my tax returns come in," and he like smacked himself or something.
Oh man.
Yeah, but it's just another one of his lies that he has spun for a very long time now. He always says his tax returns are coming in. I guess to what you're talking about, not understanding terms, tax returns only come in once per year, but he talks about it regularly throughout the year.
I can't, like, tax returns are based on how much taxes you pay, which is based on your base level income. So I can't imagine like he's actually getting any tax return money back on a yearly basis.
Yeah, not at all. And it makes me wonder if he is meant to report how much money he gets on his painted sticks that he sells. Probably doesn't report it on his taxes.
So this wand business, does he claim that these wands have any sort of power?
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, like, so my history with this guy is like, I watched him in the early days, and I kind of fell off when he started uploading daily videos that weren't labeled properly. And I remember back in those days, he would talk about things like, creating chi balls and like harnessing energy from his surroundings to cast spells or whatever.
Right.
So I'm assuming he's claiming that he's putting some of his King Cobra energy into these wands.
For sure. They will bring you good luck. You can cast spells with them. He specifically these days, the number one use for his wands is he will make traffic lights change colors for him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like something he will do with people nearby all the time. He will wave his wand around and say, change color or what have you. And I would say via confirmation bias, he'll be like, yeah, look, it worked. And so, yeah.
I guess, like, it's hard to talk about how uninteresting someone is because, like, I mean, there's only so much we can say about it, but, like, I guess just illustrating the interesting points of his life, like the few ones that there are, is a better confirmation of what we're talking about here. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, like, do you think that the people he hangs out with, his friends in real life, are more interesting than he is?
That's a very good question. He appears to be more creative than his friends, even though the stuff he makes is atrocious and unlistenable. Like, he still enjoys making regular YouTube videos. That's something his friends don't seem to have the courage to do. He makes his like cooking videos and what have you, and he makes his music. He's a very creative person. His friends, I want to say their entire identity is just drug use. They don't actually do anything else, from what I can tell.
Is he still friends with Scrapper Steve?
Scrapper Steve, that guy is really messed up. He is the stuff of nightmares. I haven't seen him in a while.
That's kind of like the last like friendship thing I saw on camera, and I remember just being, oh my god, that guy. Can you talk about Scrapper Steve for a little bit and just kind of like tell people who aren't familiar that kind of?
He is a weird like I think he's a furry. He looks really strange. Like he's really bald on top, but he's got big fluffy hair on the sides. Weird looking face. And I think he's just a real sexual deviant. And there was one point where he was stranded somewhere in another state, and Cobra was trying to get money to help him out. I know his asshole is on the internet for some reason. I've seen way too much of him. And I remember now. He enjoys weird like parental child play where they may be both of age, but one is like, hey, I'm your dad and you're going to be my daughter kind of thing, which is really gross.
Oh man.
He's a really nasty guy. He looks like a serial killer.
Where does King Cobra find these people? Like, do they live in his complex?
He will invite them over to stay at his place. They will be usually like vagrants, people wandering around that he meets.
Okay.
Yeah. He was actually banned from allowing people to stay in his apartment anymore.
From Clint or from his apartment management?
I want to say it was the apartment people. But yeah, he would just keep running into people. They chat him up, and at some point they would be like, yeah, I have no place to stay. And Josh, I suppose wanting like friendship, will invite them to stay with him. That's how Couch Chris wound up staying with Josh for like months on end, if you remember him.
I do remember him. I remember the demon battle that they had on his bed.
Oh yeah, the video titled Fun Fight. Which was like more of a like snuff film than a fun fight.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, God.
So for such an uninteresting overall person, what do you think draws both of us and such a large community on the internet to watch this guy?
So, I suppose one thing that I should clarify, one, yeah, he is uninteresting. Most outsiders who come in and know of him and start to watch him, they just go somewhere else. To be more specific, his life is really boring, and he as a personality is really boring. Now, watching him for us, and I'll get into what makes him so enjoyable, he can be pretty good, I have to say. But the stuff that he is into and knows about, it's so like bland and ordinary. Like his taste in music, the stuff he watches, all that is really boring. But to answer your question, why do we like to watch Cobra? It started with me in the beginning. He reminded me of being much younger and being kind of attracted to the gothic subculture. As cringy as that sounds, like I kind of saw that. And this was when he was just like a young kid drinking energy drinks and talking about like what is goth and mainstream and all that trash. That has changed significantly. I mean, overall, what interests me is the really long saga of someone slowly killing themselves, as gruesome as that sounds.
Okay.
Like, one of my favorite movies is Leaving Las Vegas, if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
Yes, I love watching Nick Cage just drink himself to death. I also enjoy watching Intervention. I think a lot of people like watching Intervention for the same reason. You like to see people out of their mind drinking too much, doing weird drugs, you know, and they kind of wrap it up by showing that they're going to get better, but the people come to see addicts acting out. And, you know, that's really entertaining for me, I have to say.
I think leaving Las Vegas is a really good analogy there. Like it's like a strange mixture of Leaving Las Vegas and Vampire's Kiss.
I haven't seen that.
So yeah, Nicolas Cage basically he gets bit by like a homeless person or something, and is convinced that he's turning into a vampire, but he's not.
Oh, wow. So does he kind of sever all his ties with society?
Unintentionally.
Yeah, yeah. Because if someone really did believe they were becoming a vampire, they would probably make some major life changes.
Yeah.
But it's not true.
So going back, just tracking back a little bit to the topic of the music that Gothic King Cobra creates.
Yes.
Do you listen to it? Like, not like actively. Like, I'm sure you're not, you know, like working out listening to his music. But do you like when he releases a new album? Do you at least like give it a listen and you know?
Yeah, I'll pop through it. And funny enough, I have listened to the cover, Mighty Rain, done by the Fake Cobra, while working out. Because I love that song.
Okay.
I definitely listened to a lot of his earlier stuff. I remember, I think it was called Ring My Bells or Ring Your Bells was my favorite song that he had done, if you've ever heard that.
I don't think so.
It's really funny. Ring your bells all night long, ding dangling my dong.
Okay.
And there's this bit at the end. He actually has like a climactic end to it where he screams like ding dangling my dong. Like he gets really, really high pitched and he's yelling it as hard as he can. And God, there's an amazing video where he is hanging out with Chris and Chris's brother, and he very casually kind of puts on his music. And I'm sure he's waiting for them to be like, "Oh man, what is this?" And he puts on the Ring Your Bells song that he made, and everyone gets really uncomfortable. Like no one wants to say anything, and he just turns it off.
I think the last album I listened to is the one where he's like talking about how much of a bitch his mother or his stepmother is.
Oh yeah, My Mom Laura.
My Mom Laura, yeah. Has his music evolved past that by this point, like, or is he still? I think like a lot of his music back then was like him kind of victimizing himself in this situation.
Right.
Has it gotten like what is the topic of his songs these days?
He will scream about Satan a lot. You know, I need to just pull up his most recent album if I can find it. It's always just him ranting about something with a GarageBand loop playing in the background. It tends to be really, really boring. Honestly, the last time I checked out his most recent stuff, it was no different. I can't think of anything else that really stood out, anything meaningful. It has no like cadence or rhythm. It's just him hitting notes on his guitar, singing about something, and then a GarageBand loop that doesn't match up at all.
So they're a lot like his videos, but just with like bad music playing.
Yeah.
Does he still think that he's going to become a famous rock star someday?
The delusion is strong. He believes that he's going to win the lottery. And in terms of his music, actually I will say he has toned down on that significantly. He used to, in his early videos, talk about making it big on YouTube and making it big with his music and getting discovered. And these days, he had someone actually prank call him while he was doing a video, and they pretended to be a New York record producer. And it was a nice lady on the phone who was talking about, someone sent us your album and we want to get you signed up. And he completely shut it down. He wouldn't even go for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he had said, I'm never going to make it big. No one cares about my music. I'd rather just some kind of I want to be underground sentiment or just do my own thing. So he seems to have given up. I think
That's pretty sad.
Yeah. I think there may have been an incident that really discouraged him. There was one time where he was claiming he was going to go to a bar and play for people, which would have been amazing, but he got cold feet. And he also wanted to play outdoors for people just walking past him, and he wanted to play the national anthem or something. And he backed out of that too. He actually went, and then someone else was playing, and he used that as an excuse to back out.
Oh, man. I would love to hear his rendition of the national anthem.
It's the reason why he smashed his first guitar.
The national anthem?
Yeah, he's always struggled to play it. It's really funny. It's this is something he struggled with for years now. And there was an incident where he was trying to play it and he kept screwing up, and he got so frustrated he smashed his guitar.
He's had a long history of being abusive towards inanimate objects.
Yes. I find it really interesting the way he'll smash stuff and personify objects.
There are some things that seem sacred to him that he won't smash, like his little puppet man, right?
I have never considered that he would smash Shaun. That would be amazing. Because, if he blew up his head or something with his shotgun, he could glue it back together, and he would be really, really creepy looking if he had all these cracks and fragments sloppily Mod Podged back together. That would be amazing. Have you ever watched Trailer Park Boys?
I have.
Conky? That's exactly what I'm thinking of. When Conky comes back from having his head blown off, and he's glued back together, that's exactly what I think of.
Oh, man.
So I kind of wish he would smash him. It would be amazing to see him come back and maybe be a little more twisted or angry.
When there's that brief moment in time where he had that little, so he had Shaun, and then he had Fun-Size Felicia.
Yes.
And it was a happy little family.
Yes, it was.
I can't even get through it.
It's really painful. That was one of the first times that I noticed how badly he was balding. But I want to say also in that video, he believes that if you shave bits of your hair off, it will come back thicker. That weird myth. So he had these tendrils coming out of his head, and you can see it when he leans down to kiss Felicia. His little tentacles coming down, his Crypt Keeper hair. And it's really disturbing to look at.
Yeah, that whole situation was disturbing to look at.
He had his little happy family, like you said. That is really funny to think about. But I want to say he killed Felicia, right?
Yeah, I think he lied about it, too.
Yeah.
He said that somebody had broken into his apartment and then stole her for the medal that was inside of her.
Yes. I think he had 2 different stories that he told, and I think he lied himself into a corner and just got worse and worse, and he finally had to fess up to it.
Am I correct in remembering that he got another doll after that one?
Let's see. It's strange because I want to say there were 2 dolls, one of which I think lasted a day, and he destroyed that really quick. And then I think he killed Fun-Size Felicia. But I don't know much about the first doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, what?
He has to kill them.
Yeah, that's the really strange thing to me is like, because like I've seen documentaries about people who like live with their dolls and they like they seem happy, I guess, like content.
Those guys, they're sweet on him, real sweet.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm just surprised, I guess, that is it like he wants something more? Do you think that's what it is?
I think there's a lot of shame. He really, I think, is ashamed that he has to resort to having sex with a doll, and maybe once it's over, it kind of takes over him. There was a video where he was really, really ashamed, and he would insist that he would absolutely not masturbate on Valentine's Day because he didn't want to look like a loser or feel like one. And I think that's kind of parallel to like, man, I'm so unlucky in love. I have to have sex with this doll, and maybe when it's all over, he just wants to get rid of it and slice it up and throw it out.
That's really this man. It's so surreal. Just like the way that his brain thinks about things is just so out there. Like it's so hard for me to understand like what is going through this person's head on it.
Yeah, it's he has some very powerful emotions that take over him.
So I saw recently that he had a friend who passed away. I think his name was Alex.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that this is going to affect him in any way? Like his lifestyle or...
Interestingly enough, for being someone who has high-functioning autism / Asperger's, he does get affected by death quite personally. It does have a lot of influence on him. I wouldn't say outright that he's just going to ignore this. I think it may... He won't change his lifestyle, but I want to say he will feel very sad about this, at least.
That's fair.
Have you ever seen him when he actually cries, when he thinks about his mom getting shot?
No, and that's something I didn't actually know about him, so...
Oh yeah, there's an amazing video that is him, like, dropping his guard and being like the most real person I've ever seen him be. There had been a shooting at a college somewhere in Wyoming, and he was really angry. And he started talking about how his mom is a teacher, and he started to kind of connect the dots and imagine what it would be like to have his mom get shot, and he started crying. And he was just like, screw you guys, I'm very upset thinking about this. This is serious. And for like a good little snippet, he wasn't, a gothic bad boy or some kind of tough guy. He was just a person who was really scared for his mom. And you really can relate to him and feel bad for him and all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, he deletes the video. He doesn't want anyone to see that. So, in that case, he took that, just even thinking about his mom dying, like pushed him over the edge. I'm sure that one of his friends dying will upset him greatly.
What do you think it would take for Gothic King Cobra to turn his life around? Like, if he was presented with a good opportunity, like, a good job opportunity where, like, they understood his situation, they understood who he was, and were, like, willing to, like, make room for him in a place of work, like, that was stable and paid better than Wendys. Like, do you think that would be enough?
I would absolutely agree that he needs meaning in his life and routine. When he was working at Wendys, his life was so much more in order. It was amazing. Even though they kept cutting his hours, sometimes he would work like 1 or 2 times a week. He was really proud of what he did there. He needs a reason to live, because right now, I've said it many times on the subreddit that he wants to die right now. He does not care about living. He needs a reason to live.
Flashback to the time he had a girlfriend. I forgot what her name was.
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Like, do you think if he had someone really solid in his life who, like, for whatever reason cared about him and, like, overlooked his onion-smelling hair, do you think that, like, that would be enough to get him in line?
I would say that it would not come before him getting his life in order. There is no chance that he would find a woman who is a positive influence on his life before he actually gets his life together. It will not happen.
That's fair.
Because the way he is right now, he's dirty. He has all kinds of bad habits. He barely makes any money. He's angry. Like, he's got to get his whole life together before any woman would want to get with him. Stephanie, I'm absolutely amazed that he dated Stephanie for as long as he did.
Yeah, that's that was kind of a shocker.
Yeah, and he was a lot younger, I suppose. You know, hanging out at Job Corps, treating it like a summer camp. He had his hair, and he didn't look as strange, I suppose. He still looked pretty odd, but Stephanie was a interesting case. I would say the odds of a girl being into him, even at that time, were astronomical. But that's not going to happen again. Not anytime soon.
Do you think within the next year we'll see him get a new job or anything like that, or do you think it's just going to continue to devolve?
Oh, man. Not without intervention. I think Clint would have to really get up in his business and tell him that he can't keep selling wands. He needs to actually get a real job. Because, I mean, right now, he's just one step away from being in a group home. He's some strange guy that lives in an apartment paid for by his dad, left to his own devices. And he's overextending like what he can get away with. There's a breaking point, and him being put into a group home has come up several times in his life where they were thinking of having to do that. And I want to say the way he's behaving now, they've probably considered reneging on giving him his own apartment and going through with that.
Again, like, let's pretend I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that he had to move out of Clint's?
Oh, wow. Very interesting question. It may have been in the beginning that Josh actually was able to spearhead that initiative on his own. He may have actually gotten a job and been able to pay for it. And once he was out of the house, maybe Clint got used to it and was happy to have him be out. I think maybe once that happened, I mean, I'm sure Josh wanted out. Clint probably wanted him out. So they both went for it. Maybe Clint offered to help him every now and again, if he needed rent money, stuff like that. Because, I mean, really, with Josh, if he full stop was just like, hey, I don't have any more money, I can't pay for this apartment, I'm pretty sure Clint would do everything possible to keep him out of the house. I mean, Josh, he would stink up the place, if I remember correctly, from when his dad posted on the subreddit, talked about his really, really smelly socks being left around, and just having to, like, baby him constantly. It was annoying to have to take care of him.
So whenever I think of Josh, I just can't, I can't sever this connection in my brain between him and Chris Chan.
That is, yes, all of this leads back to Chris Chan. You get that taste that Chris Chan provided, and it's just like that first hit of heroin. You can never get that first one back again. You're always chasing it. Josh is a decent substitute, but he's no Chris Chan.
It's just, yeah, man, it's such an interesting parallel, because, like, Chris Chan still lives with his mom,
Yes.
From what I gather. He is unemployed. He makes things that he sells at a irregular basis. He has hygiene problems.
Yes.
And it's just like they cultivate this like internet fascination with them, which I think like mostly has waned for Christian, because I guess people just got bored, or like, I mean, there's just so much that happened there, and that I don't even want to talk about that. But like,
Yeah.
do you see the internet getting to the same place with Gothic King Cobra, where it's just like, okay, we're just like bored of this. There's like no more troll opportunities left. There's no more, you know.
It's hard to say. Chris Chan had very strong reactions for every action that was made towards him with the trolling. Josh is not as gullible, and he doesn't have the same violent outbursts when he's tricked. I don't. I mean, so you're wondering if eventually people will straight up just abandon ship and leave Josh, right?
Yeah, just they'll like get bored of him.
Yeah, yeah. It all depends if, with Chris Chan, it's almost too depressing to watch him now. There's just nothing of interest going on. It could get to that point with Josh. I don't know what would happen, how he could change if he becomes like terminally ill and is hooked up to like a breathing machine. You probably wouldn't want to watch him anymore because he's just this sad case. He depresses you. Like, Chris Chan right now is, this really... He's up in his years now. I want to say he's going to be 40 pretty soon.
Yeah, he's damn well near it.
Yeah, and he looks really unhealthy. He talks in that weird... I'm not respecting pronouns here. Talks in the falsetto voice. Videos are incredibly boring, and I hate seeing footage of his mom because she's really old, probably gonna die soon, and she's crazy, and they're living in filth. Like, that depresses me.
That's actually a pretty interesting topic, though. If, God forbid, anything should happen to Clint, or I guess Clint is his major support mechanism at this point in his life.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen to Josh?
Josh would, if he continued to get his social security, he would have some form of money coming in. I don't know if the state would get involved and try to put him in a group home, or if he was stubborn enough, if he would just become homeless. It all depends on how much money he gets from his monthly tugboat.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. Is like the possibility of him having to live out on the street.
Yeah, he would kind of join his gang of friends that he hangs out with, other homeless fellows that troll around.
Do you think he'll ever cut his hair, like shave it off? Do you think he'll ever reach that breaking point?
He, at the rate that he has his hair falling out, he may not have a choice in terms of the top of his head. There's gonna be like no hair left pretty soon. I don't know if he's going to continue to wear his bandana on top and pretend like he still has a full head of hair, or if he would shave everything, but I don't see that happening. He loves having long hair.
I wonder if he's ever looked into the possibility of wearing a wig.
Oh. He may have considered it. Honestly. Do you know about his pizza habit?
Vaguely, but like...
Oh, it's so funny.
Why don't you tell me?
He, lately, I want to say this past year, whenever he gets a sizable chunk of money, it becomes a debate of how many pizzas he's going to treat himself. And what's bizarre, he will get a single large pizza and put so many toppings on it, and he'll get like wings or something with it as well. And it winds up costing him about $35 on average. And he'll just eat it all in a night.
Holy crap.
And he does this on the regular. I remember there was a video where he talked about how he'd made about like $600 from selling wands, and a ton of it had gone to pizza. He loves eating pizza, but it's always like grossly expensive stuff that he gets.
Does he order like just from like a chain, or is it like...
He used to get Domino's a lot, and something really interesting happened where they stopped delivering to him, and there was a big discussion about it, and the theory was that he consistently refused to tip them anything, that they then were like, fine, we're not going to deliver to you anymore, which apparently is a real thing that can happen.
Wow.
Yeah. So he really likes Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Little Caesars, like all the major chains. He'll get from them. He'll get pizza from them.
The insane thing to me is that, so this is a guy that like spends $600 on pizza, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming he spends money on alcohol too, because like cocktails that he's invented.
Yes. That's probably a real big part of where the money goes. He's just afraid to admit that. I'm sure a lot of that money is going to 99 proof bananas. That is his favorite drink.
Oh my god.
It's so strange. I love his posts. He'll post on Facebook and be like, man, I'm stressed out. I'm going to do me this Friday. And he'll post a picture of this 99 proof bananas stuff. He loves it. He's crazy for it.
Do you have like a favorite of his cocktails? Just like that. I mean, I've never tried one personally, but like I know of a couple of them.
I would have to say Cobra's English, which is some old English beer, some rotten stuff, combined with Monster.
So like I know he has Cobra's Mist, which was like Mountain Dew and some kind of beer.
Blue Moon.
Okay, Blue Moon.
Yeah, that's the classic combo.
And then I remember Cobra's Blood, which was Monster Energy and some sort of red wine.
I never knew about Cobra's Blood. That's amazing. Oh.
But I'm just like, man, like, so he spends all this money on liquor and all this money on pizza, but he still, like, goes out and, like, picks up wet cigarette butts and harvests them for their tobacco. It just, that's crazy.
Yeah, he loves to buy big bags of tobacco, and I think what happens is he will blow through the bags that he buys. I think he said like a bag of tobacco was almost equivalent to 2 cartons of cigarettes. But when he's out, he calls it a nicotine fit, where he's insanely irritable. And so when there's no more tobacco around, he starts scrounging it up.
Man, that is just insanity. That's so gross.
It is. Picking up old cigarette butts, wet ones, stuff from ashtrays, that's really nasty.
I had this experience one time where I had ordered something from Amazon Prime Now.
Mm-hmm.
And like the boxes that it came in, or it came in like these bags. Sorry, they were like these paper bags. And whoever had delivered it had just been like smoking weed in their car.
Oh yeah.
So everything inside those bags smelled like weed. I'm wondering if people who order these wands have the same sort of experience with like just opening this box and just getting this firsthand Cobra stench.
Some like ghosts fly out. No, I'm sure, the vapors must come out of it. This really strong, stale smoke smell has got to just erupt from it.
Yeah, I remember reading that I brought it up earlier, I just offhand comment, but I guess like someone had convinced him, or he'd read somewhere that like if you wash your hair with onions and some other disgusting shit, that it would like make your hair grow back.
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine.
He would slice the onions and then keep it in his bandana all day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's amazing. He also experimented with mayonnaise.
It's so fascinating because, like, so he isn't worried at all about that. He isn't worried about his tobacco or onion stench. But I remember seeing that video where he talked about how if he farted at work, he would try to inhale it before anyone else could smell it just like those little bites of like self-realization, you know, like it's just insane. Like he thinks about that, but he doesn't think about keeping onions in his band.
And he thinks he's like the perfect gentleman by just sucking up those farts as quickly as possible. Really conscientious. But yeah, at the same time, he's got to smell like a putrid ashtray. Wow. It is strange. It's very conflicting.
Does he ever go on vacation?
Wow. Like, does he ever travel?
Yeah, so just there's something that occurred to me. I mean, like another internet personality I know you and I both like is Eulalia.
Yeah.
And like that's I think one of the things that really like kind of changed his life was when he was forced to go on these vacations with his family, and he was like forced to step outside of his comfort zone and like experience, you know, going into water or whatever. I'm just wondering if Josh has ever like had one of these like life experiences outside of his apartment.
The closest is when he went to the Ozzy concert in Colorado, which again I think is absolutely amazing that for Josh, Ozzy is the end-all be-all for goth music of all things. But I don't think he has gone very far at all outside of, you know, Casper.
That's just, I guess, feeding back into our original topic about how boring he is.
Yeah. There's nothing going on. And it really, really surprises me every now and again. There was a video a long time ago where he wanted to watch a movie, so he went to like his apartment complex's library of movies that you can rent out, and he popped in a copy of Billy Madison, but it was too scratched up to view, so the whole thing was a wash.
Do you think that his lifestyle, like his, you know, just like the same mundane thing day to day is contributing to his anger and his sort of like I don't know, it's just so weird. Like, do you think he blames himself at all for this, or do you think he's just sees himself as a victim of circumstance?
If he does blame himself, it's all internal. He likes to live a lot of lies and present lies to people about the way he looks and how he should be, you know, swimming in pussy. And, you know, I think he does not like himself internally. Yeah. And, you know, your question about doing the same thing over and over again, does that contribute? Very likely. If you do the exact same thing day in and day out, and the only thing that changes is how much hair is on your head and you're getting older, yeah, you're going to get really irritated. He probably enjoys routine to some extent, but at the same time, he is absolutely stagnating.
Can I bring up one more off-topic thing that I just think is like super interesting?
Yeah.
So I remember you brought up the Valentine's Day thing and how he didn't want to jerk off on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I remember the other Valentine's Day incident. Well, I mean, I'm sure there have been multiple, but like I just remember that angry video he made about couples concentration camp.
Yes. Yo.
Man, like I wish that like there was some detailed psychological evaluation that I could read on this person to like make me understand where he comes up with these ideas.
A lot of jealousy. He contradicts himself a lot. There was a point where he had said, you know what, if I got with someone and did something, we had sex, I wouldn't tell anybody about it. But then in the video I'd seen, they posted something that he had shared on Facebook, which was him being like, yeah, some girl just sucked my dick. It was awesome. So there's that. Like, it all depends on his circumstance. If he had a girlfriend, he wouldn't be talking about couples concentration camps. He would completely drop it. But he's so angry and jealous that he's got to, you know, get back at people. Another thing that happened, he was talking about how he would never get in the way of people being in love or what have you. But there was definitely a video where he was talking about how his neighbors were having sex too loud. So he would shout gross things as loud as he could to try to spoil the mood. So, yeah, he'll act out. It's just jealousy when he talks about these things. You know, how he would never allow couples to exist and he'd send them to camps and stuff. He's talked about how he doesn't like being compared to Elliot Rodger and how much he hates him, but that's the kind of road he's going down, where he is so frustrated and jealous that he wants to get back at couples. The closest person I want to say would have been Carolyn, Scotty's sister. He talked about how he had to restrain himself and how good it would have felt to stab her a lot. I think if he ever goes into like a real big fit, some kind of rage-filled confrontation, I think he is fully capable of seeing red and blacking out and like really hurting someone.
That's super upsetting.
It is. It is. And there would be a lot of evidence in his video history indicating that he is capable of violence. So Stephanie had just left him in one video because he cheated on her and they had a fight or something. But all he could really think about was a confrontation he had at Wendys with some guy who like made a jab at him, made fun of him for something. And all he wanted to talk about, this was fresh from a breakup, was how he wanted to stick that guy's head in a deep fryer. He wasn't sad about the breakup or thinking about it. He was just kind of thinking about how good it would have been to like hurt this guy at Wendys.
Man, I have so many questions about Gothic King Cobra's love life and just like the various women surrounding it, but I think that could probably be its own episode.
For sure. For sure. He has an amazingly detailed sexual history for being the way he is.
And I know he's got like there are girls that interact with him on a regular basis.
Yes.
But then there are like girls that he chases. Like, or like, you know, puts up on a pedestal and like, so yeah, man, I don't know. That's all interesting. But yeah, maybe we should save that for the next one.
Yeah, we can. I was just about to start on something else, but we will save that topic because there's a lot to say.
Okay.
It upsets me to imagine being in his position and not taking advantage of things. There's morality issues with torrenting and downloading stuff. But again, I figure if you're broke and aren't going to be able to buy it, you may as well be able to be entertained. Like, I would torrent movies and games and all kinds of stuff. But he doesn't know what that is. I think I've told you this before, but I got to talk to him one-on-one once on Skype. And I asked him if he ever torrented things. And he didn't know what that was. He just had this blank look. And I asked if he ever pirated stuff. And he said, matey, I don't know. And it blew me away.
That's amazing.
Absolutely blew me away that he didn't understand what it was to pirate software or movies and things. I tried to explain it to him, and he just completely lost interest. He stopped listening. I could clearly see it. And it just sucks, because, again, you know, like I mentioned earlier, he has all the time to hang out and play games and have fun. Like, he basically gets a license to be a NEET. He doesn't have to work or be employed or training or anything. But he fritters his time away, like drinking and, I don't know, at best watching YouTube videos. I think that's how he passes his time.
I would love to see him like do Let's Plays on his channel.
That would be awesome.
Even if it was just like a camera pointed at the TV and him playing the game.
I would take it. Yeah.
Does he have a TV or does he just use his laptop for everything?
He has an old CRT tube television.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, there has to be some estate sale or the equivalent of Craigslist, some like secondhand store where he could get like a proper flat screen for, I don't know, $60 or something. But he just doesn't seem interested in that. He does not care.
That's so fascinating to me. Like, just like the weird things that he cares about and like focuses all of his energy on. It's just so weird.
He's not interested. It's I don't. What's really interesting about it is I don't think he's ever complained about being bored in a video. I think when he is bored, he makes a YouTube video and just starts rambling. But he seems to be entertained. I just don't know how. I would be bored to death.
It's so difficult. Yeah, just to your point, like, I remember when I was in college and I had my own apartment, I would just be so, like, upset and, like, bored in that apartment. Even if I was playing video games, I'd be like, I need to leave. Like, I need to just, like, go and, like, hang out, do anything that's not just being in here.
Yeah.
So it's just so fascinating to me that, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's not content because he's angry. But just that he doesn't seek out anything else.
It reminds me of boomers that retire, and when they don't have their job, they just start drinking themselves to death to pass the time. That's what I think of.
He does seem like, yeah, that's good. Like a very old person that just like is scared of like change or discovering new.
Yeah, he's I've heard about this a lot where there's a lot of people from that generation that don't ever want to retire because like working is the most fun thing that they do, and when they don't work anymore, they have no idea how to fill the time. And a lot of them become alcoholics, and somehow, I don't know how that works, but it can, pass the day pretty effectively if you're just drinking all the time. Somehow you wind up, I don't know what you do when you're drinking, but that's kind of what he's been up to.
I did see on his channel in the past week or so, or 2 weeks, he had like uploaded a reaction video. He was like reacting to a documentary YouTube video about this couple that like doesn't have sex.
Oh, the caretaker lady and the guy who had like a muscle deficiency or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I actually watched it. I just saw it and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting avenue for him though, is to like like seeing his reactions to different things. I think is super interesting. I would love to see more.
I think he took it as an opportunity to talk about male and female differences in privilege and stuff. He started like dipping into the usual pool of political sentiments. He kind of has this like base palette that he always brings up of topics when it comes to that. But it's a good type of video to do for sure, because it exposes him to something new. You get to get his reaction versus him like just starting up that Cobra engine of ranting about the same stuff every time.
I don't know. I would like I said, like I would just love to see like I know a lot of his ideas are formulated out of his situation, but like there has to be some place where these like weird political leanings like he latched onto them. Like I don't want to insult the guy more than I have already, but like he doesn't seem smart enough to formulate his own opinion about politics.
No, and a lot of his identity is regurgitated, tropes and things that he has seen and heard before. I don't think he ever really thinks very critically about the stuff he's saying or has heard. It probably sounds like the right side to be on and the right thing to say, but he, this is the same guy who he used the term cerebral Pelosi and genetic Dr. Pepper instead of generic. Like, he will repeat certain words, and like to any normal human it sounds completely wrong, but he just misremembers something and says it as is and is none the wiser because he is just parroting.
Like cordial cherries.
That's right. Cardinal cherries.
Cardinal cherries. That's my favorite.
Cherries. Oh, he has I need like a full list of all the things that he has mispronounced. It's a pretty decent list.
I would, yeah. So, like, going forward with this King Cobra podcasting that we're doing. I would love to like discuss more on a different episode about like his various food and drink habits.
Yes.
Like not just the pizza, but like his creations.
That
Because
yeah.
he's like, I don't even know how he comes up with some of this shit, but like it's disgusting and amazing at the same time. Like these flavor combinations he comes up with.
He has this idea that like more is always better, so he just keeps stacking things.
That's so gross.
There was a I guess we can save it. We'll save that for the food thing.
All right.
Good.
So yeah, definitely one about food and drink, and then I really want to dive into his relationship history.
Yes. There's a decent amount of stuff to talk about. He, throughout, him being like a late teenager to the present, has actually had quite a few interactions with women.
It's a mystery.
It is. All right. Well, I think that'll do it.